right now.
4-time Angler of the Year.
Oh my gosh, I'm shaking like a leaf.
Former FOW Cup champion.
That's what I'm talking about.
God has blessed me so tremendously in my career.
Welcome everyone to David Dudley Outdoors, and yes, today we're going to do, I think this is going to be session 2, and this is going to be a long series of what it takes to become a professional bass fisherman. I am just myself, pinch myself all the time to know that for 26 years I have been able to make a living catching bass and doing what I love to do. Yes, do I struggle to get up in the morning? No, I don't. I don't struggle to get up to go to work. I don't struggle to get up during the days just thinking about tournament season, thinking about sponsorship, thinking about work that is beyond just standing in the boat. We're going to cover that in the series. I know there's a lot of young anglers out there that want to make this their career, and the odds are very slim. Okay, when I say very slim, think about it. There's really probably only 200 professionals in the world, okay, in the world. So odds are against you, but I'm encouraging you to chase your dream. I'm encouraging you to go after your dream. You've probably heard me say it, and you'll probably hear me say it quite often. Rick Clunn at the James River said when he was on stage, won his however many classics that was, he said, hey, he goes, I encourage everyone in here to follow their dreams. I mean, he was standing on stage with that classic trophy and just knew that his dream was to become a professional fisherman. And I'll never forget that today I die. So yes, Rick Clunn, thank you for giving me the opportunity and encouragement to do 26 years. So I'm going to throw this at you. All right, guys, if you know a high school or it doesn't matter, high school or anybody inspiring to be a professional bass fisherman, share this video with them. Guys, share this video with them. I'm passionate about this series. Hopefully you guys will enjoy this. Give it thumbs up. And it doesn't matter if you really are not wanting to become a professional bass fisherman. I feel there's going to be a lot in this series that you can learn from. And make sure you hit that notification button. This series is going to be on a playlist, so you're going to be able to play one right after the other. Now, out of all the videos that I'm probably going to do, I've already got at least 7 of these videos recorded. This is going to probably be my favorite, one of my favorites of the videos. I've always correlated fishing and chess as like one in itself. Chess is a game that just absolutely fascinates me, and just to have a game that's 3 billion possibilities after 3 moves, that's pretty incredible itself. So in the game of fishing, I'm not going to say there's 3 billion opportunities out there on the water and strategies that you can do. It's nowhere near that. But hopefully I'm going to explain to you in this situation where I want you to learn how important thinking the game is through. Because if you can't think this game through, you're probably not going to be as successful of a tournament angler as you could be. And this is going to take a lot of practice and time on your end. I do got a practice video coming up. It's going to be called Practicing for Practice. It's going to be an interesting video, but it's more than just fishing on the water. This game is a thinking man's game, and being able to know when to move, when to stay, where to go, what lures to throw, where to set up yourself approaching a dock or just whatever it is. So let's get started, okay? Chess. I'm hoping most of you know the game of chess, so I'm just going to encourage you, if you don't know the game, learn it a little bit and maybe find somebody to play with, because it is going to help your mind think think a lot crisper on the water. It really is. It's going to help you think of how to attack these bass, how to attack the situation that's being dealt to you. So here we go. In the game of chess, you have pieces that are on the board, and each one of them are limited to what they can do, okay? You have pawns, you have kings and queens. There is a limited set of moves that each one of these can do. Now, within the game of chess, I'm going to correlate it to this. Just like in our boat, we have a drop shot. It's limited in what it can do. We have a wacky worm, a spinner bait, you know, a jig, a swim jig, a vibrating jig. We have basic crankbaits. We have basically a whole army of lures out there. Now, on the game of chess, you have the whole army of lures, of pieces of men that are on this board. Each of them are limited in what they can do, except the queen. The queen can do anything and everything she wants to do. She can move as many spaces, diagonal, forward, it doesn't matter. She can do whatever she wants to do. But in fishing, you're using all of these lures. And I have a series coming up talking about being well-rounded that is going to be coming up later in this series. But to win in the game of chess, you must have access to your whole army. And yes, some of them may not play a big role at times. Some of them are going to play a huge role at times. But all of them are very key components to making sure you attack, which is the bass. You attack that bass in every way possible for you to learn. Now, sometimes you're going to sacrifice, you know, you may use a pawn and see how aggressive the opponent is, the other army is, and you're going to sacrifice a pawn. Sometimes out on the lake, you're going to sacrifice doing something. Maybe you're throwing light line on, you know, a wacky worm, or you're going to take a bladed bait and you're going to skip it around docks, and you're just trying to see, is this opponent, quote unquote, is this army that I'm going up against, how aggressive are they? What are they doing? You're going to learn so much with these pieces out on the playing field. You're going to learn so much by having a rod full of baits, okay? You're going to learn so much of being able to take and learn the mood of your opponent. Another example of reading your opponent would be where you actually get to visually see a spawning bass. Now, typically I'm going to have probably 4 rods rigged on my deck for a spawning bass. Now, all of it is strategy. All of it is understanding the mood and where that bass is at in that spawning stage. The fry could be barely hatched out and they're hovering above the bed, maybe 3 inches above the bed. Or it could be that the eggs are sitting at the bottom of the bed, and you have to use different baits to gauge what the bass are actually doing and what kind of mood they're in. So reading your opponent, using different rods, different techniques, quote unquote, using a pawn, using a queen, using a king, using a bishop, all of it is geared towards reading your opponent. Now, to be great at the game of chess, it requires a huge responsibility of memorization. The greatest chess players in the world have, I couldn't even begin to tell you how many battles they have memorized in their head, how many situations that they have memorized that when that situation arises, they know within 20 moves, they're going to checkmate you. They already know, looking at the board and how it's set up, they know. It's a game of memorization and how they can incorporate experiences that they had from a chess game and remember it a year later. And studying your opponent is what great chess players do. They'll go and play and watch every game of their opponent that they can get their eyes on, just to learn their games, their moods, and to learn everything about it. Now, how does that correlate into David, into to us as tournament anglers. Whew. All right, so memorization for a tournament angler is this. Our opponent is that bass. Our opponent is trying to figure him out, figure out his moods, what he is. And we're going to take situations that are on the water that we have experienced, which is the game. Okay, say I was at Table Rock Lake 5 years ago, okay? And I was there right before the summer, and the situation was, hey, we had clouds rolling in the morning, and then pure sun, and then it turned into raining in the afternoon. Well, that was 3 attacks by the weather, okay? That was 3 big curveballs thrown at me in one day. And during that course of the day, maybe I tried a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and then something clicked, and then I saw the reaction of my opponent, and then next thing I know, I'm attacking them, I'm catching them. When I say attack, that means catching bass. And that whole game just went inside my head, and it was just like, wow, what an incredible game that was. That was an awesome experience. But yet, that technically is just like the game of chess. It's a game of memorization. And yes, guys, it is very, very important. I've seen this so many times. I've seen so many anglers go and just attack a lake. Maybe they caught a couple bass. And I'll ask them. I'll be like, how did you catch those bass? Well, I just, they just randomly moved their pieces on the board. There wasn't no thought, and there wasn't any reason for them to remember it. They were just like, I captured one of his men, or I caught a couple fish. But it is so important to remember all these situations. And yes, it is important to document these things. I've been at this game for 26 years. And after 26 years, I can't sit there and simply rely on the past, okay? You're going to forget games, right? So if you're a great chess player, you're eventually going to forget games. And I'm going to take a second and explain my nose right now. So you're probably staring and looking at my nose. It's irritating me that you probably are going to start commenting and calling me Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So yes, my nose yesterday, I was cooking some duck. I had a duck breast in a pair of tongs, and I was reaching it over to drop it into the oil, just to place it in it, not drop it. But it slipped out of the tongs, and when it did, it just went, and the oil went, that's how hot I had the oil. And yes, thank goodness it didn't get in my eye. I mean, you can see how it just melted my flesh away just on my nose. Luckily, most of it went on my shirt, but that drip went up on my eye. Just if it would have center punched one of my eyes, yes, God was looking after me on that. But so yes, if you're wondering why my nose looks like that, this is the reason why. So again, it is important to keep track of these games. I don't care how good a memory you have, how young or how old you are. It is good when you get that aha moment, the wow, that was interesting moment. You better store it away. And one of the great things that you can do within your emails is pick a subject title. It could be fishing moments or whatever. And that way, when you go to search your emails, you can type in search for fishing moments, and it'll pull up every fishing moment that you have experienced. And you could write fishing moment, table rock, jerkbait, and just write it down. Document this thing down. But in fishing, it's a game of memorization. So why is that important? When you are on the water and you're only dealing with an 8-hour window, okay? It's an 8-hour window that you can make adjustments. You better be prepared. You better have that game on the tip of your tongue or on your mind, ready to just be downloaded instantly and bring up that situation that you've already experienced before and be able to attack the bass. So one of the things I do offer, and you can actually go to my website, daviddudley.com, click on coaching trips. Guys, we all know that there's coaching in every sport. We try to tag team up with certain people who may have fished, but most of the time we're just fishing, watching maybe a better angler fish. We're really not picking their brain. We don't like to be picked on, like asked all these questions when you're on the water. So one of the things I do offer is coaching trips. And there's actually 7 anglers who are on the national tour that I coach. And of course, I will never say names. I'll never say anything. It's an honor for me to coach people along and get them to the next level of where they want to be at in fishing. And it's almost like I'm a coach rooting for my own team with these guys. So either way, I do offer coaching trips. But here's what I want to tell you. Back in the day, chess was used as a gauge to see how intelligent and smart the generals were. They would actually use this game to gauge how smart they are in attacking an army. How are they too aggressive, or are they, smart in their moves? Are they thinking 10 steps ahead? Because if you think too aggressively, sometimes that's just, you get too aggressive, you're going to bypass what is the obvious right in front of you, and you're going to get checkmated. So when you get too aggressive, it could be throwing a spinnerbait down riprap, and that's your focus. That's what you're going to do, and you think you're going to conquer and win that game. You're going to win the day, and obviously you just could have picked up a square bill and went down that same riprap bank and caught fish after fish after fish, but you were too stubborn to look. But the interesting thing is that chess, they used it to gauge how intelligent these generals were. Because if they were going to be in charge of their army and be in charge of other men, they would take these generals and put them by tables and let them play. And whoever had the most intelligent score in the game of chess would rise to the top, and they would be in charge of orchestrating how they were going to attack. I just think that's brilliant. And I look at my coaching trips, and I'll ask some of these guys, hey, and all I'm doing is gauging. It's not judging them or whatever it is, because most of the time when people come to me for these coaching trips, they're ready. They're ready to receive some constructive criticism. I've only had one guy buck up against me, and he wasn't ready to be coached at all. He thought he was, the man. So within these coaching trips, I'll ask certain anglers, and it's only for them to start thinking. It's only to start creating that mindset that you are in a battle and that you are in it. And I can see clearly where people are at in their approach of a game that day just by certain things I may ask them to do. So yes, chess is being played out all throughout the course of the day, but you always got to be 10 moves ahead. So you may ask, David, how do we get better at this game of chess relating to fishing style? How do we get better so I can rise to the top and become a professional bass fishing angler? Well, one of the suggestions I could tell you is to challenge yourself to different games. Going to your same, playing your same opponent, you kind of know him. You know what he's going to throw at. You know his moves. You know how aggressive he is. So if you're going to your same home lake, throwing the same bait, just doing the same thing, it doesn't force you to become a better angler. So how are you going to do that? You're going to force yourself to go to different lakes and fish for different species. It doesn't matter. It's forcing yourself to use your tournament knowledge, not tournament knowledge, but it's forcing you to use your fishing knowledge in a way that you're not experiencing it by fishing your home lake. And as a matter of fact, later on in the series, I talk a little bit about this. I'm not sure when I'm releasing that video, but it's actually a video coming up. So again, hit the subscribe button. And guys, take a second and listen to me with this, is that proficiency rods are available. It's a rod that I have developed. They are actually in Walmarts all across the United States. And if you want to find out where a rod is located near you, you could actually go to proficiencyrods.com. We got a store locator. They're only $78. Guys, it took me 2 years to develop it. And I actually won my 4th Angler of the Year on the prototypes of these rods in the stage of developing. So I'm very proud of these rods, guys. Check them out, walmart.com. And for all your tackle needs, fishermancentral.com. Rise this up for you. You can have all the pieces, aka you can have all the square bills, the spinner baits, the bladed baits, and the finesse and the Cinco. You can have your whole army, right? And you can have, you know, the best equipment in the world, just as everybody else has. But just having the equipment, just having some knowledge of how war works, and or how the game of chess works, or just understanding bass movements, is not going to put you in a category that you're ready to become a professional angler. Being able to think the game through is probably more than half the battle, okay? More than half. You know, when you get to dealing with casting, you may think you're a good skipper, and you may be. You may be a great skipper, and you may be able to cast just as far or further than I can. But basically, that is just muscle memory. It doesn't really incorporate the thought process that goes through. Guys, I hope you understand when I say fishing is the game of chess. I hope I explain. Comment below. Guys, we're in the beginning of this series. Comment below if you think there's something you want to hear. If you think there is something that you want me to talk about, and what is some other things and questions you may have about becoming a professional bass fishing angler. Guys, thanks for hitting this subscribe button. Thank you for your growth over the last 2 years. I'm only 2 years into being a YouTuber, and we're already 30,000 strong. Thanks to you guys. You guys have been a tremendous support to me and this channel. Thank you for what you do, and we will be back at you at another series. Hit that subscribe button, share this video with some of your fishing friends, and we will be back at you soon. Thank you.